Sometimes it just feels like you're not making any forward movement. Why is that? There's a lot of people talking to me about these days about that whole thing. And we're going to talk about how to banish what's holding you back. Welcome to Curse Breakers, where we help you figure out how to not get victimized by the stars. This is Jacki Smith, and I'm here with my favorite and official astrologer, Storm Sestavani, and we're going to talk about how the astrology over the next couple of weeks is going to not kick your butt. Hey, if you're listening, whatever platform you're listening on, if you like this show, give us a thumbs up or a heart, and make sure to follow us so you know when our next shows are popping up. Hey, Storm.
Hey, what's up?
This is a time of some astrological detox. I'm really working the planets these days based on what you've told me about and then all the stuff that we put in the calendar that anyone can get to. And I'm really working it, and it seems to be working.
I think a lot of people are confused about astrology in general, Jacki. I think that there's still kind of this pop culture idealism that the planets are just going to affect us and we have no choice and or say in the matter. And it has been my mission, for many, many years to make astrology a practical, usable tool rather than just, something that we sit by and passively just accept whatever's going to take place.
100%. So, like the other day, let me look at my calendar. What was happening? When the sun conjoined Pluto and Aquarius on the 21st of January, doing some work on this. And I brought everybody together purposefully at Coventry and to talk about what Coventry is, what Coventry isn't, and talk about what's a distraction and where we're going and how we're evolving. And it was the perfect day to do that. And we've been doing some other fun things like looking at the different planetary hours when we post in social media, and it's making a difference. Very interesting.
Well, it's called, I'm actually writing a class on it, a basic class, because I don't want to get mired in, too much astrological magic, because it can be overwhelming to somebody at first. And I want to make it easy for people that are just playing around with it for the first time. But there's two things that you can do to attune to a planet relatively quickly. Okay. One of the things that you can do is, like, for example, one of the things that we're going to talk about this week, okay, is that we are going to talk about Jupiter, okay, because there is an aspect of the sun in trine to Jupiter, which is one of the most luckiest aspects of the year.
Amen.
So
let's do it.
So with Jupiter, okay, there's a few things that you can do. Number one, you can pay attention to the planetary day, okay, which is Thursday. And then usually 3 times that day, Jacki, you're going to go into a Jupiter hour. Okay. So it's during those particular times that you attempt to try to develop a link with that particular planet. And one way that you can do it is that there are these wonderful things that are called Homeric hymns. And you can find them at theoi.com. That's theoi.com. And then, like, if you're working with Jupiter, just put in Zeus in, the search bar, and you'll get a whole bunch of poems. Okay. And one of the things that you can do is you can just print one out. And when you're working on a Jupiter day and working with Jupiterian energy, you can say that particular poem throughout the day. The other thing that you can do, Jacki, is just simply the mantra of sitting there and saying, Jupiter, 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 because words themselves have a vibration. And the vibration, because we have attached meanings to those vibrations, it automatically resonates and brings that particular energy into our life. So these are just some small things. You can also create sigils and talismans. That's getting into some deep stuff. But, anything that you can do to create that particular relationship with Jupiter. The other thing that you can do, and of course this is, the shameless self-promotion I'm about to do here. But Jackie and I created
prideful self-promotion.
Yeah. Jackie and I created a Jupiter candle, and another way that you can attune to the energy of Jupiter and bringing Jupiter into your life, which is a planet about expansion and growth. And, a lot of people, naturally think about Venus from the lens of money. It does have some stuff to do with money, but Jupiter is what brings in the growth of money.
What do you think about Jupiter? I was working with Jupiter and doing some big Jupiter money work. And what I noticed is that it gives me a bump, but it's quick, it's fast, but it's not necessarily long term.
The reason being is that the other thing that you have to look at, Jackie, is you have to look at where Jupiter is located right now. It's in Gemini. It's not in Gemini. It's considered in detriment. So right now, Jupiter isn't in full swing. Now, I'm going to give you all a pro tip. Get out your damn calendars right now. Get them out. I'm waiting for you.
I got mine.
In June, Jupiter is going to move into Cancer. In Cancer, Jupiter is in the sign of its exaltation, which means it's very powerful and potent. So we have a whole year from June until I believe July of 2026, okay, to work with Jupiter energy and really work on expanding that growth, because Jupiter is going to be excessively strong. So that's where, right now you can do the quick little Jupiter stuff, okay?
So Jupiter's been in Gemini for quite a while.
It's been in Gemini since last year.
Okay.
But because it goes through a sign a year, basically, okay? And that when you're dealing with Jupiter magic, okay, specifically, there's 3 signs where Jupiter is really, really dominant, okay? And those 3 signs are Cancer, because it's exalted in Cancer, Sagittarius, because it rules Sagittarius, and Pisces, because it co-rules Pisces, okay? So those are like Jupiter things. Now, there are a couple of other things that you can do when Jupiter is in a power place, okay? For example, if somebody wants to make a talisman, and maybe Jackie and I will have a show on talismans in the future, what you can do is that you find a really, really good spot for the planet that you're wanting to make a talisman for, okay? And you can make a talisman out of Play-Doh, okay? So don't think this is complicated. But then you can make that talisman, Jackie, and then you trap the energy of Jupiter and Cancer in that talisman.
Okay.
And then you can use that down the road when Jupiter is in a less beneficial period, like when Jupiter is in Virgo, okay, you can use it to, which will then be in its fall, okay, you can then use that particular energy to help alleviate the problems that may be associated with Jupiter. But here is the thing to always know. Regardless of that, Jupiter is always going to be Jupiter. It's just the level of the effect that's going to come through it. So burn your Jupiter candles if you need to break through obstacles and break through difficulties and bring growth into your life, or to facilitate back growth. Just know that if Jupiter is not in the best place, that you need a little bit more to work with, okay? And you can do that in many different ways. I mean, you can also burn, for example, with the sun in trine to Jupiter, okay, you can also use Curse Breaker to get rid of any form of negativities or limitations that Jupiter in Gemini is bringing. Jupiter and Gemini can get very, very caught up in details.
Okay, get that. That makes total sense.
And too many freaking details. Okay, I mean, you have every idea on the planet is going to come through, because Jupiter in Gemini is going to expand ideas. So it's kind of, when you get all those ideas, it's okay. Okay, I've got all these ideas, and maybe get you an idea jar, but pick 1 or 2 to work on, not 46.
That's real. That's exactly what I'm going through right now. And we're in a process of elimination. So we can zero in on the thing. But, here's what I want to talk about.
Sure.
And this is personal experience. is that if I'm working on manifesting something,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of over the word manifesting. So if I'm working on actualizing an ideal or a way of being,
Mm-hmm.
and I have not addressed what's holding me back,
Mm-hmm.
the actualizing that energy or that intention will happen, but it'll happen until it hits what's holding me back, and then it falls apart in a rude way, where I start to lose confidence. I start to lose faith in that any of this magic is real. This is just bullshit. So if you don't address what's holding you back, and you and I talk about radical acceptance of where you are, I don't know how many in our daily conversations, but if you don't address where you are and what's holding you back, what you're working on, what you're actualizing, is not going to have a foundation for it to really
Right.
grow from.
We that there is a new moon in Aquarius that is coming up on the 29th. And there's an interesting aspect to this new moon that I think fits perfectly in with what it is that you're saying, Jackie, because one thing to know is that every new moon, even though that the new moon in Aquarius happens every year, okay, it's going to happen every year, even when there's not even people on the planet. There's going to be a new moon in Aquarius. The lizards may be using it, but there's going to be a new moon in Aquarius. But because of the fact that planets move, that there is a situation in which every new moon is somewhat unique. And one of the things that I do when I'm looking at the new moon, okay, is I also look at what is going on with this new moon. And one of the things that's interesting, and I've never talked about this yet before, so this is a Curse Breakers exclusive, a world premiere. This new moon is in opposition to the dwarf planet Varuna. Now, we've talked about Eris a bit, which is a dwarf planet. Pluto is a dwarf planet. Makemake is a dwarf planet. Haumea is a dwarf planet. Varuna is another dwarf planet, and so is dwarf planet Ceres. Okay. Varuna is named after the ancient Vedic deity of cosmic order and moral law, and is often the great equalizer. Now, opposing the new moon, just hang with me on a second, Jackie, because I'm sure that this is going to spawn some form of creative brilliance in you. Opposing the new moon, Varuna challenges us to consider the broader consequences of our actions. Okay. In other words, Varuna is saying, okay, yeah, it's great to work with this new moon and it's great to do everything that you're going to do with it. Just be mindful of what it is that you're doing. Okay. Aquarius focuses on innovation, but Varuna says, is your vision aligned with universal truths? Are you acting with integrity? And it reminds us that progress isn't just about pushing forward. It's about doing so responsibly. So I think that when you drill that down into doing personal-based magic, okay, and all of the things that can come up with the new moon in Aquarius, which is a great time for new beginnings. It's a great time to reinvent things in regards to your life. It's a great time to be innovative, to take on new things, to break free from conventional thinking. And it's a point to shed everything in your life that's kind of outdated, you probably still shouldn't be using Quark as a word processing program. Okay. There's things that you should shed. And Varuna says, yes, that's all fine and dandy. Okay. But how is this going to, number one, is what it is that you're doing ethical? Because a lot of people, Jackie, may take the new moon in Aquarius and sit down and say, oh, I need new money. And they evoke a particular spell. And because Uranus is a rebel, and next week, you know, that they have some form of a vision that they need to invest in some form of cryptocurrency. And, you know, they invest all of their money for their company in a cryptocurrency. And then the following week, the cryptocurrency falls. And now you have no employees because you can't pay them.
Right. So it's the innovation. Is it sustainable, ethical, in line with your value system? I mean, if you're money for money's sake, you're going to go, all right, we're going to buy all this, and then you're going to watch when it's time. I mean, that's your thing.
Now, if that's if that's your ethics, which I don't discriminate against people ethically. If that's what it is that your value is, okay, is just to make more money, and not care about what other people think, or you're a solopreneur, and the risks that you take may not affect a large amount of people except you, okay, that's fine and dandy. Do you, boo? But if you have a lot of people that you're dealing with, or that there's a lot of people in your life that are depending upon you in some form of way, Varuna is saying, take the high road, not the low road.
Interesting. So,
and I find it apropos that this is kind of coming up at this particular moment in time and space.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So just kind of, I have another question for you.
Sure.
How far in advance does the energy start to shift? Is it, we've talked about this before, and I said, why am I experiencing the astrology, or the, you know, like this is the look for this today, or it's a very creative day? I experience it like the day before, or even the week before.
Okay. Because transits are not static. I mean, the moon does not, you know, the new moon, the conjunction of the sun and the moon does not actually begin at the exact moment that they're exact. It begins about 10 degrees earlier.
Okay.
So the moon moves faster. So say, for example, this particular new moon is in Aquarius. I believe it's at 9 degrees of Aquarius. So basically where the energy is going to start building up is at about 29 degrees. Once the moon moves into 29 degrees of Capricorn, okay, and then begins to start to push forward, that's basically where you're going to begin to see the energies begin to start to manifest. Now, with the moon, Jackie, you don't feel it as much because of the fact that the moon moves very quickly. It moves a degree every 2 hours. Okay.
Okay.
But with some of the other transits, like, for example, Jupiter, another one we're going to talk about, Sun in trine to Jupiter, okay, that starts to pick up speed. You know, the seeds of it, Jackie, start about 10 days before, okay, and it increases in intensity until it makes the exact trine. And then there's still a couple of days afterwards where there's still the energy that's there. So you're looking at like a 13-day window.
Okay. So this makes sense that if you're experiencing this, like, okay, so let's look at a calendar again, and let's talk about the 29th of January,
right,
where Mercury conjoins Pluto in Aquarius, which is deep thinking and transformation.
Right.
So if it's like the 26th,
you may be feeling it.
So,
which will be even more amplified, Jackie, if it's also triggering something in your natal chart.
Okay.
Would
it be equally as triggering if it is, if you're going through that? Like if you're in the process of evolving something, like if you're in the process of like, okay, I'm going to rearrange my house and I'm going to get rid of old stuff. So if you've been doing that for the past month, does that astrological aspect hit you harder if you're already dealing with something?
Well, here's the thing. Let's take that Mercury conjunct Pluto example. Here is another thing. You also have Mercury conjunct Pluto in your natal chart. So do I. Both of us have it in
best example. Okay.
Both of us have it in the sign of Virgo. Okay. So anytime that Mercury conjoins a planet and you have that aspect in your chart, it's going to trigger it regardless.
Okay. So let's pretend I don't.
Okay.
So this is someone who's listening who does not have that in their chart or doesn't know the rest. They're not savvy in the
Right.
whole thing in their chart. I am honored and I'm privileged that you know my chart and you tell me these things. But let's say, okay, so Betty Sue is working on rearranging her house. Like she's ready to tear down some walls and put up new wallpaper, and she's getting rid of old furniture. Who cares if there's no furniture? She's just like got to get rid of stuff in her life. And it's coming up on time of clearing old things. And in a place of transformation. So if she's already experiencing that transformation, will an aspect trigger or affect what you're doing greater?
Yes.
Okay.
With Mercury conjunct Pluto, though, I would be, as you're redecorating and you're doing your house, check the sewage system.
Got it.
It's because basically Pluto rules anything that's under the ground. So I would work with it in that particular capacity. Also, I would look at if somebody was coming to me with that scenario, and believe me, nobody is. But, if somebody was wanting to redo their house and they were coming to me and then, Mercury conjunct Pluto is coming up, I would tell them to really look at what particular type of changes and what particular type of feeling that they want to bring into their particular home. What specifically are they trying to transform? Are they redecorating just for the sake of redecorating? Because if you're just redecorating for the sake of redecorating, Jackie, and here comes Mercury conjunct Pluto is going to say, okay, but what about this? Or you go to the store and you buy all of this new furniture and you get it in your house and it clashes and now you have to paint all the walls.
Got it. All right. So over the next 2 weeks, there's an overarching energy of banishing what's holding you back.
Right.
Doing an astrological detox. Tell us, let's talk about what the different planetary alignments are doing. So we talked about New Moon in Aquarius. What else is happening?
Uranus is going to turn direct in Taurus. And Uranus, when a planet is in retrograde, it tends to work on the inside of us. So what it is that you're doing is that you're now innovating the inside. When Uranus turns direct, it starts to innovate the outside. And, as it starts to move from retrograde to direct, it's going to shake up your sense of stability. It's going to cause you to look at things because this one is in Taurus, particularly around finances. What makes you feel comfortable in your life, because Taurus is about comfort. And also long-standing habits. Now, what you have to look at is that it can feel quite chaotic and unnerving, but it's really growth disguised as some form of change. In other words, sometimes in order to grow, sometimes to move to that next level, that there needs to be a change that occurs first. If you continue to do things in the same way that you have been doing them over and over and over, and what it is that you want is change in your life, it can feel quite disruptive. But you need to look at it from the perspective of this is growth disguised as change.
So practical application of this is, so
it's a
Taurus
practical, definitely.
It's practical. Taurus is very practical. Taurus is about security. Taurus is money. Well, not as much as say Capricorn is, but
no, Taurus is Capricorn is the management of money. Taurus is money. Capricorn is the management of money.
So if you look at, let me see if I got this right, because this is always a test. Does Jackie know her basic astrology? Watching the disruption of your money. So there's a change coming.
Right.
in that. And when does it go direct?
It goes direct on the 30th.
30th. Oh, 30th is a big day.
Yeah, it's the day after the new moon, which is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus.
Okay, so this is thus this
Right.
shedding what doesn't work for
Which
you anymore.
basically what you have here, Jackie, is almost a recipe. Okay. You have the new moon in Aquarius, and it tells you, this is about new beginnings. What are the new beginnings that you want to make? I tell people to identify a habit or a mindset or a relationship or something in their life that no longer serves them.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them to write down what they'd like to release and visualize it dissolving under the energy of the new moon. Okay. And then, because there is, which you and I have talked about a lot, especially on Keep It Magic, we talked about it a lot. Whenever you remove something from your life, if you don't replace it with something intentionally, you then create what is called a space.
Yeah.
And what will fill a space if you don't replace it with something intentionally is a vessel of negativity.
Right.
And if you replace, which is called the klippa, if you want to be Kabbalistically, educated. And any time that which will allow something new to be born in there that's not productive for you. Okay. It can come in as, say, for example, what you do is that you want to get rid of, financial instability or poverty consciousness. Okay. That's what you want to get rid of, poverty consciousness. And then you imagine that dissolving. Okay. But you do nothing to fill that space. Okay. All that's going to flow into that space is fears, doubts. Did the spell work?
Yeah.
Everything. The insecurities, impatience, all of these things, because we don't like change. Oftentimes, that poverty consciousness on one level or another is serving us. So if you don't put something in there new to serve you, the old is going to come back.
I call that the uncomfortable comfort zone. I know what this pain feels like. I know what it feels like to, have $20 left at the end of the week or end of the month. And I know how to make that stretch, even though it's stressful.
Now, I think that with Uranus, Jackie, happening the next day, I think that what people can expect is surprises or situations that occur in their life that challenge their routines and expectations. Okay, number one. Mm-hmm. And there is a push to reevaluate what security means to you at this particular moment.
I can see, like, for instance, what popped into my head is somebody is told that they're going to get a promotion and more money. And it means that they're going to have to be on call 24/7. And so it's like, okay, I got this change happened, but it's also changing a different kind of security. So you could say, you know what, being on call 24/7 is going to be too stressful for me, or it's going to take me away from my family, or I'm not going to be able to go to my kids' ballet recital or go out with my friends or whatever. So this 24/7 on call, it's going to disrupt a different, for some people, security is having people around them, and it's going to eliminate that. So then evaluate, like, oh, is this what I want?
We can also drill this down in a personal sort of way, Jackie, so I can give you a valid example that people can wrap their mind around. Okay. Say, for example, Thursday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, you receive an order for 1,000 Jupiter candles. That's your order, 1,000 Jupiter candles.
That's a lot of Jupiter candles.
And who's purchasing them would like those candles by next Friday.
And then we laugh and laugh.
Or you sit there and you say, okay, this is going to be a pain in the butt. But, right now, what I need is financial increase in my life. And that's what I'm petitioning for. And is this what Jupiter brought to me? And do we need to shelf everything else at the moment? And all of us just put in all of our particular effort to try to make as many Jupiter candles as possible, even if that means that we are working the weekend. That is the surprise that challenges your routine and your expectations. Okay. So your expectation may have been, you're going to sit on the couch and watch private practice this weekend. Okay.
Because that's the next one after Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. So you're going to watch private practice this weekend. The reality now is that you may be making some pretty purple Jupiter candles with everybody. I mean, you'll have everybody in there making those candles with you. So that's or somebody does some particular form of work, and what they're noticing is a trend that is different than what has been there before, which causes them to have to shift the way that they've been doing things normally. Okay. And how you work with all of this is that, number one, you embrace flexibility. And you use the Uranian energy to step out of your comfort zone. And a lot of people have a comfort zone. I don't know what it is, Jackie, but I don't have this problem, by the way, but a lot of people have a comfort zone of they have to be off on Saturday and Sunday. That's their comfort zone. They have to be. They can't do any form of work. They can't do anything that requires that. Okay. Whereas you can make a bunch of Jupiter candles during the weekend. Okay. And then maybe take Monday off. You know what I mean? Or to shift things around where you get that done. Okay. The number two is to rethink stability. Examine how you define security. What is your definition of security? Which is a big thing that I think over the period of all of Aquarius season, which is coming up. Well, we're in it now. All of Aquarius season, that I think is one thing that people should really sit down and ask, what is my personal definition of security? And does your definition of security align with what it is that you value at the moment?
I love that.
And values may shift. What you may have valued in December may not be what you're valuing in January. What you may be valuating in January is an uptick in your checkbook. That may be what you're valuing. In December, what you maybe have been valuing is, I get to spend time with my family and friends, and it's the holiday, and joy to the world, and everything else. Okay. Things are going to shift. Values are going to shift. They're liminal. They're not going to stay the same.
That is true, because so we can have our core values, right? So there's these list of core values, and then what happens is some of them rise to the top because they're threatened.
Correct.
Because they're on point. It's on point. Family is on point right now, and it might not have anything to do with the season. It might just have to do with I'm sick, somebody's sick, or whatever. Good things. The list goes on, and then there's times when the different. So right now it's a time of valuing. What do you value security wise? So that's going to be triggered and challenged, and it's a great time to dive into that meditation of and I say meditation, just a quiet time, journaling. Like, what does security mean to me? And one of the best ways to do that is to start with listing the times that you felt secure. And how did that feel? What was happening in your life? What decisions did you make based on that security? How did you interact with people based on that security? And that helps you understand what security means to you. And is that still in play? it might be when you were younger, security meant to you that your family was around you. There was somebody to catch you. And then as you get older, security means to you that you have the ability to go make money, or maybe it means that you have a good job. I mean, there's different ways to look at that. So, and that's why you evaluate it, because it changed. Security as a child means that mom and dad are within arm's reach. Security as a young adult is mom and dad are somewhere and I can reach out to them. And then security as an adult is I can make my own way. So that's a demonstration. I mean, not everybody's going to have that same experience, but it's a demonstration of how that can change.
Right. And it's to apply, even though people don't use the word practical usually when they're thinking about the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is also co-ruled by Saturn. So it's also the structuring of progress. How the progress on its own and being progressive. And I don't mean that in a political connotation. It's about what is it that you're doing to push your life forward. Progress still needs organization. It still needs organizational skills. And that's something to kind of keep in mind.
I like that. And, I know more Aquarians than I thought I did. And what's interesting is the well-adjusted Aquarians have this interesting ability to project plan. They can create order out of different chaotic ideas. And probably it has to do with their moon and their rising stuff too, but it's just really interesting that when they're a little more well-adjusted and not in scattershot. Is that correct, or am I seeing?
Well, that's the structuring side of that's the Saturnian aspect of Aquarius, for sure. The shadow side of Aquarius, of course, is full-blown narcissism. Usually, if you think Leo can be narcissistic, see a shadow-infested Aquarius, and it's unbelievable, the particular level and the level of victimization with somebody that's working through the shadow side of Aquarius. And that's another thing to watch out for while we're in Aquarius season is, are we viewing ourselves as the victims of life? And of course, there's many things that are going on in the world that can make somebody feel that way. Okay. But are we viewing things as a victim? And oftentimes when we turn on the victim button, Jackie, in my opinion, I think that that's probably one of the biggest forms of self-importance that there is. I really do. And people are probably going to hate me for saying that.
I get it because, okay, true story. Share my true stories because my stories are the only ones I can share. So I'm in my pity pot and I'm in my stress, my little bundle of stress. And I'm thinking to myself, do I have to continue to do these dishes all the time? I'm mad now. I'm like, could my husband actually take a goddamn turn at doing these dishes? And so I'm already stressed about other things. So I'm stepping into that victim role. It becomes about me. I don't want to do the dishes. And so I'm about to have the big confrontation, right? And what is he doing? He's doing the cat boxes. I don't do the cat boxes. That's the rule in the house.
So you do not like doing the cat boxes at all?
No. So if here I am. So I stopped myself and I go, well, why am I so pissed about doing the dishes? Because I actually want to be doing something else, which is unproductive. I want to be doing some unproductive thing. But see how it's just like a victimization of why do I have to do all these things? But when you step out of this, like self-centered victimization, you go, wait a minute, what else is going on in this world? Then you step out of that victim role and go, oh, this is my part. Now, this is this does not have to do with being abused or somebody talking bad to you or anything like that. This is just that unhealthy place that we all can get to. Like, why am I always the one emptying the dishwasher? That's unproductive.
Right.
And so that becomes that whole self-centeredness.
Whereas I would look at it, Jackie, in a totally different perspective, since we're reading our own tea leaves. I would look at it from the perspective of, oh, I need to do these dishes because he's not going to do them good enough. They're not going to be clean enough to my standards. And,
but that can also be a part of victimization. Why can't he just do this way? Why do I have to manage everything?
One of the things that my husband and I do once a month, okay, is that because I believe in healthy relationships at this point in my life, not unhealthy ones. And we will sit down and I will say, is there anything that I am doing that's annoying to you? And he told me, Jackie, you're going to find this hilariously. He goes, well, it's not annoying, but I find it a little weird. And I'm like, okay, what do you find weird? He goes, the fact that you consistently every single day use Lysol and wipe down all of the counters and you wipe down everything in this entire house with Lysol. And he goes, and I find it a little bit weird. And I said, okay. I said, what do you find weird about it? And he goes, it's just the repetition and the compulsiveness of it. I said, do you like a clean house? I said, because let me tell you, if I don't do that, it's gonna get dirty, and you're not gonna like living in this house. And it gives me actually more time to spend with you because on deep cleaning days, I don't have to deep clean a lot. There you go. So yeah, I know how to clean a house. If you need tips, just email me. I clean the house so well that all of the reels that I get on Facebook are how to clean a house. I am not joking.
And I bet you there's no cat hair anywhere.
Actually, I do have a problem. My husband sheds and my male blue Russian sheds. And Jackie, I swear, I triple sweep. Do you know what that means?
You sweep 3 times in a row?
I sweep everything 3 times. Okay. Every day. And I will tell you, like, I can leave once we get done, I can go and sweep and there will be a pile of cat and husband hair.
That's funny. Okay. So we're completely off point.
No, we're not really, because that's Uranus. All
right. So don't we have a third?
Yeah. The sun is going to trine Jupiter. Now, this is really important because the fact that, and it also happens on the 30th, because it is one of it's one of the luckiest aspects of the year, and it happens 3 times. You have the conjunction of the sun and Jupiter, okay, which will not happen until June-ish. You have the trines of the sun. So when Jupiter moves into, like right now, with Jupiter being in Aquarius, it's in trine to Jupiter in Gemini. Okay. The next time that it happens, it will be when Jupiter is in Scorpio. Or when the sun is in Scorpio, it will trine Jupiter in Cancer at that time.
So new opportunities, like Uranus is turning direct in Taurus, and then the sun is trining Jupiter. So this is a new opportunity day.
It's a new opportunity day. And the sun Jupiter is important because it helps us with big picture thinking, making it easier to let go of minor, insubstantial types of obstacles. It boosts confidence and motivation. It's the way that I look at it is, that there's a particular feeling I get that you get when you go by a field of sunflowers. And it's just this, sunflowers to me are just like these big, shiny, smiley faces almost, okay? And it's this wonderful, optimistic, vibrant type of feeling. And that's what this is about. And it's also about opening doors to connections and collaborations that can help you implement your particular intentions. So it's a really, really positive day. But it's also important to take note of the positivity, because I don't believe in luck from the standard aspect of, oh, he's lucky. What I think luck is just the ability to notice opportunities at a higher level of degree than at other times. And that's what this aspect is.
Oh, I like that idea. I like that definition of luck, because I agree with you, is that when you are down and in mentally, emotionally, feeling in your feels and sorry for yourself, you can't see opportunity that's coming to you. Everything feels too much or not for you. But when you are up and out and you're, looking at the sunflower, you can say, there's seeds I can eat. I mean, let's look at this. Let's look at this opportunity. So just kind of recapping really quick, there is these 2 days, the 29th, 30th, and 30th, right?
Right.
Are all about letting go, banishing what's holding you back, and preparing yourself and taking note of the new opportunities that are in front of you,
Right.
watching that change. So these are 2 days of transformation. That's a big deal that I can't say.
Right.
2 days of transformation.
And also triggering Jupiter energy on its own, Jackie. Okay. And the reason that you at a particular point in time may want to work with the planet Jupiter magically, okay, is to be aware of those moments and opportunities to take advantage of that many may consider to be lucky. It helps boost that. And it's, well, I'll be honest with you, it's why we named Jupiter Lucky Star.
Right. And Lucky Star is seeing the opportunities that are in front of you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's get down to, we're in the last 10 minutes of our show. So let's get down to what we can do to embrace all of this. So let's do some rituals for releasing and realigning.
Okay.
So going to some of my favorites is that banishing ritual that you can do at the first part of the new moon, which is that writing down the things that you want to release, which you talked about earlier in the show, writing down these things that you want to release on a piece of paper and burn it. I mean, safely, of course. And I love doing this outside. I know it's cold. It might be really cold on the 30th of January, but just...
And it's really damn cold right now.
It's really cold
right now.
And so, but just, bundle
But
up.
at least we don't live in New Orleans where they don't have plows. That's all I got to say, and bless those people.
I know. I'm so sad. Yeah. Here's my heart too. Actually, from the southern tip of Texas, all the way through North Carolina, they got snow that they've never experienced before. Anyway, and I really feel for you guys, and I just stay home and be warm.
Yeah, I posted on Facebook yesterday when I saw the news that it was 3 to 5 inches, Jackie, and it actually ended up being 10 inches in New Orleans. And I'm thinking to myself, they don't have snowplows. They don't exist.
There's no salt for the roads. There's no sand for the roads.
So they're like practically, and from what I was hearing, from Margaret, or I did have, some people that know me well do know that I did live in Louisiana for a period of time in the House of Horrors. So I know the area pretty well, and that there was a weathercaster that she just recently retired, actually, and I'm 740 years old. So she's like, 860 at least. But she says that this is the first time that this has happened since 1893.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no climate change. Anyway, so write down everything that you want to release. And then I like to take it outside because I like to see the smoke leave. If you're doing it in the house and you have a little smoke, okay. But to me, it just kind of stays. So I just want it, like, if you're going to do it in your house, open that window and blow that smoke out.
Yeah, 5 minutes is acceptable. You don't have to keep it open for 3 days if it's cold.
Right. Yeah. Just, put on your Arctic wear and just light it real quick. You don't have to stay out there forever. And then the other thing I like to do after I've done that is get rid of the ashes, wash out whatever I burnt the thing in. So I'm washing that away, washing my hands, even putting like a little salt in my hands and like running that through my aura. So everything that's attached to that, I'm letting it go. So it's not just burn it and go. Do the little things where you're washing the stuff out, and then now you have a clean slate. So writing down your goals for this lunar cycle, and then you can charge them with the new moon. But I want to talk a little bit about writing down your goals for this moon cycle. You're gonna end up with some step by step. If there's a lesson that I've learned in the last couple of months is like trying to move the needle all the way in one fell swoop spell. Mm-hmm. One candle is not going to change your entire world within 10 minutes.
Right.
It's like when you write down your goal.
Except that time, girl, that I burned the death candle.
But you were ready
but that was
for
an anomaly. Yeah, exactly. That was an anomaly.
But unpacking that, you were ready for that. There was things that were happening, and it was the final let go.
Yeah.
So, but when you're setting a goal, like, okay, for whatever it is, think about the things that will occur. But more important than the goal is how that goal makes you feel. So how do you want to feel at the end of it? Remember we're talking about a lot about security. And so this is like, how are you going to feel secure and all of that? Not that, $1 million will make me feel secure. Will it? Honestly, if you've never had $1 million before, it can make you feel really nervous. But then like, okay, I want to feel secure. And what are the things that need to happen to go? So when you're writing down that goal, those pieces, because you know what? You eat the elephant one bite at a time. You get to that big change in your life one magical spell at a time, one step at a time.
And like I said yesterday, elephants have no carbohydrates, so the eating is good.
And then, a banishing candle helps with that. And then looking at a road opener or the new moon, astromagic candle during new moon to let it grow. Because that's what it's called, let it grow.
I would do all three, actually. I would, with my REM method, I would remove with the banishing candle. I would energize with the road opener candle, and I would manifest with the new moon candle.
I love it. That's perfect. We do that REM all the time.
Yeah.
And then black tourmaline is great for clearing that negativity. You can use a black tourmaline to clear your aura, and then you just set that on the windowsill so the moon and the sun can clear it off. Citrine is great for, the gold of citrine. I love that. It's just for optimism. That's the sunflower stone in my mind, and not all citrine is really bright. So it's okay if it's not really bright. The energy's still there. And I love, my favorite stone is labradorite.
Mine too. My husband's too.
It just...
We're like a family of labradorites.
Labradorite. It just helps you. So for me, one of the reasons I love labradorite is it opens up and it connects you to your Akashic records so you can see the results, the potential results of the actions that you're taking. So you can embrace the change that you're heading forward.
I actually, just for future reference, I actually want to do a show on the Akashic records, Jackie, because I think that there's so much misinformation and so much confusion out there, and we are the curse breakers.
Let's break that curse around the Akashic
that there's so much misinformation, and everybody seems to be doing it. And I think a good conversation, especially for the two of us earthy creatures to have, is about the Akashic records. So I definitely want to do a show on that in the future.
So what else can we do in this ritual? What am I missing?
Mantras. Like I said, I'm a full believer in mantras at this particular point, especially when you're working with astrological magic. And a simple mantra, I think, is kind of like, I release what no longer serves me and embrace what brings me closer to my authentic self or my authentic desires. You can wiggle that around a little. It doesn't have to be exactly word for word what I said. Tailor make it for yourself.
Got it. And then there's also one more thing you can do in it's just like, what action are you going to take on a daily, weekly basis to actualize this goal for yourself? So many times I talk to people about that passivity in their magic. I'm going to light the candle and nothing's happening. I'm like, well, what action are you taking?
Yeah.
And I would love to, speaking of actions, I'd love to hear about your detox story, your astrological detox journey, and your stories help us understand what you're looking for new episodes.
Right.
But you know what? We don't want to just be talking to ourselves. We do want to hear about your wins and your challenges.
Absolutely.
And don't forget that we are on social media, so you can find Curse Breakers everywhere, and you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on all the socials and wherever you're listening, because this podcast is on all the platforms. Give us a like on this and then follow us so you know what's going on. I mean, if you're on YouTube, like us, subscribe to us, and then you'll know all the new stuff we have going on. And sometimes we put stuff up on YouTube that's not anywhere else.
Right. Jackie, one thing I want to mention before I close this out, tell them how they can get our astrological calendar.
Oh, I love this. So in the show notes, wherever you're listening, which is on whether YouTube or Spotify or Apple Play, all these different places, in the show notes, there is a link for you to subscribe to our daily astrological calendar, Curse Breakers calendar. And it's a Google calendar, and you just say, yes, I want this on my calendar. And it works on Outlook. It works at all the different calendars. It'll just be something that's in your everyday. So when you open up your calendar, see what's up today, you will see what's happening with the stars. Right. Isn't that great? I do this every day. That's how, what's funny is
Me too. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Well, I get the astrology for the month, and I started putting it on my own calendars. I'll pay attention to this, pay attention to this. And I went, wait a minute, I need to do this for my team. Wait a minute, I need to do this for everyone. And so that's how that Curse Breakers calendar came to be. It's really handy. And let us know if you're using it. We want to hear about the people who are subscribing to it, because I can't see who's subscribing to it.
Right. The other thing is just as a reminder, the show will now be done bi-weekly rather than weekly. And this is just because Jackie and I have a bunch of classes coming up and things that we need to write and content that we need to put together for you guys. So that gives us a little bit more time to do it and not feel rushed, so that we can give you guys quality shows, rather than just something that we just throw together in 22 minutes.
Right. We did hear from a couple of you who, yes, they appreciate the day-to-day astrology, but they love it. You all love it when we dive deep in the magic of the bigger things happening.
Exactly. And in the meantime, Jackie, where can they find you?
You can find me Coventry Creations, Coventry Candles on the different socials. That's a great way to get a hold of me. I'm looking at all the social media, so I'm looking at that daily.
She's a social media girl now, so
yeah. And I'm really having a lot of fun with that. So find me on Coventry Creations, Coventry Candles on Facebook, Instagram. We have on Threads. We're not on absolutely everyone. There's a lot of new socials coming up, and I'm like,
it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. So I'm doing the basics, and find me there, and CoventryCreations.com, who is the sponsor of this show.
Right.
And sponsoring a show means that they're helping us cover the bill of what it takes to do a show. So,
and we cost a lot.
So hop on over to CoventryCreations.com. That's where you can find the Banishing Candle, the Road Opener Candle, the New Moon Candle, and then the different sprays that go and oils that go along with that. And you can find us. You can book a reading with me on CoventryCreations.com, which I
you started doing readings again?
Yep. My calendar is open, and it's a little
That's
prideful
exciting.
self-promotion is when I do a session with someone, it's different than Storm. I love that we have different styles, but I dive into your Akashic records with you. And we take a look and see what's going on. What have you done in the past that's setting up your future? Mm-hmm. Where do you want to go? It's a very co-creative reading where I listen to your voice and we figure out what's going on.
So you can come to me to find out what all of your problems are, and then you can go to Jackie to fix them.
Right. That's what we do. It's like, I really want to be that guide. for you to really feel powered up. And that's what a session with. It's a healing session. It's a reading. It's really, and I don't have a lot of openings for them because it's so intense for both of us that, there's time that I need to prep and there's time that I need to wind down and the whole thing. So there's only a couple a week that's open. And they fill up pretty quick.
Oh, that's very, very exciting. And you can find me at Storm Sestavani everywhere, even including stormsestavani.com, except on Facebook. On Facebook, I am facebook.com/astrogossip because I like to talk about astrology. So we chat and we do all kinds of stuff. And you can join me and the other storm chasers on Facebook, where I post pretty much every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. So check that out. And you will hear from Jacki and I in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, Jacki, what do they need to do?
Oh, keep it magic.
Speak life, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.